Hello, hello. I hope everyone can hear me. I guess I should have checked to make sure that my Bluetooth says it's connected. I just got home from dropping Zoe off at camp, so I'm taking the dog for a walk, and I just realized I gave an update on my YouTube channel about a week or so ago, but not everyone gets to YouTube, so I thought I would do an update while I am taking Paddington for a walk, because I was just in the car for 6 hours, so I need to stretch my legs, even though he probably doesn't need to go, but we're gonna go anyway. So for those that don't know, because a lot of times Facebook sucks with their algorithm, and if your feed is like my feed, it's mostly ads or various groups that really have nothing to do with you that keep popping up on your feed, and so then you don't see anything that your friends post. So it's very frustrating to me because I don't see a lot of what my friends post. So just a quick recap. Last May 2025, at the end of May, Ellie had a concussion, and she was 16 at the time. Went to the doctor, did all the things. She was sick over the summer, and we didn't put two and two together until cross country started in the fall, and then we realized, oh crap, the concussion hadn't really healed. Actually, I'm not so sure that it wasn't that the concussion didn't heal as much as the concussion unleashed. It became a trigger for other problems that it's looking most likely were genetic, or she had the genes for it, and so the concussion kind of pulled the trigger. There were some things like light sensitivity and stuff that the neurologist, had said this is definitely, a minor traumatic brain injury, post-concussion syndrome. So we went through 16 weeks of intense physical therapy. Her heart rate is extremely low. Blood pressure is extremely low. And so that's part of what the physical therapy was for. It was a special POTS physical therapy. And even though at the time she just had the diagnosis of dysautonomia and not the POTS subset of dysautonomia. And so what the physical therapy was to help stabilize that heart rate and the blood pressure, because a lot of times her blood pressure would be super low. I mean 80/40, that low. So anyway, come here, Paddington. So we went through that. She finished that in February. All the while, from about October or so, she kept losing weight, and it would lose in big chunks. It wasn't a pound here and there. She would drop 5 pounds just in a couple of days. No rhyme, no reason. And we thought, well, maybe it's GI. We didn't know what was going on. So, and she would have triggers, long car trips and things like that. And her body temperature had been extremely low since the concussion too, we had noticed. Verified even in the ER. So we ended up going through a very traumatic time with a GI doctor from Children's that wouldn't believe that she was actually eating. So then he ended up putting her in the hospital, and he lied to them and told the hospital that she was restricting food and she wasn't eating enough, and that they didn't need to do any other testing because she had already had a full GI workup when she hadn't had anything. So that was very awful, very traumatizing. And I have since filed a complaint and am in the process of filing a complaint with the state medical board on him, because this wasn't just a doctor not knowing, this was a doctor that actually lied in her charts. And so we found another GI doctor that did testing, because knew that she was eating. We gave them food records and everything, and it was clear that she was eating plenty, and her liquid and solid emptying is slow. And that's as far as we got from there, because the way healthcare is it's so fragmented, because everyone is in their own little scope, and that just, it was becoming clear that that's not what Ellie needed. Like, we needed someone to be the coach that could, like, take a look at everything and then be like, yep, we need this, we need this, we need this. So we ended up going to, well, we saw an endocrinologist and a cardiologist from the UW Children's System in Madison. Both pretty much not helpful. It's not their fault. They were both very nice, very good. The cardiologist said Ellie didn't have POTS, but he didn't do the testing right, and I knew he didn't do the testing right. But, you know, you just get to know that you just don't argue with a specialist, because you're not going to win. So we ended up going to Mayo in Minnesota, and we were there for about 2 weeks. Come on, Paddington. And we got to come home on the weekends. Saw an amazing pediatrician who promptly diagnosed Ellie with POTS, along with her dysautonomia. Rolled her eyes when I told her what the cardiologist said, because he said she didn't have POTS because she has very slow heart rate. So when her heart rate jumps, it doesn't jump into what would be technically a tachycardia. But it's tachycardia for Ellie, because her heart rate currently lives in the upper 30s, low 40s. And when she stands or changes positions, especially if she's not compressed or doesn't have enough sodium, it jumps from that to 90 to 100. So that's tachycardia for her. And, you know, we're dealing with other things, like she doesn't sweat, she doesn't shiver, her body temperature during a flare is like 92 to 93. So our Mayo pediatrician promptly diagnosed her with POTS. I gave her all the testing we had done at home. There's testing that you can do at home. It's called the Nasaline test. And it's basically the at-home equivalent of the tilt table test. Because of Ellie's weight loss, the tilt table test wouldn't have been accurate, and it actually would have been dangerous for them to do for her. It could have stopped her heart. So the Nasaline test clearly showed, and we did 2 of those at 2 different times of the day, so that we knew it wasn't just like first morning, it was any time. And then she also was diagnosed with hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. So both of these, I'm still learning how they all work, but both of them have to do with how food is digested and how the intestines work. And the intestines, because of the hypermobility, it's not just that her joints are looser. Everything, all the connective tissue is more lax. So she can eat, even though her intestines are slow, she can eat over 3,000 calories and not have that early satiety because her intestines are stretchy. Whereas someone that didn't have this but had the slow motility like she has, they would be so full and in pain and puking, and she doesn't have that. So the GI, we saw a GI doctor there, and he was basically very appalled at the treatment that we got at Children's, because he saw the notes. And he did a scope. He said he didn't think it was GI. because like all the labs, all the tests, everything kept coming back normal. Everything kept coming back normal. It's so frustrating. So, but he did agree to do a scope, and I got him to agree to do special staining for mast cells, because everything was pointing to mast cell activation syndrome. And unfortunately, Mayo is a little bit behind the times on that, as are most places. They are there. It's really only been in the literature for about the last 15 years. But our doctor was like really great. When we had our follow-up with her, she said, I am stumped. Nothing makes any sense. Ellie also had a metabolic expenditure test, and that showed she should be, if she was just sitting on the couch all day, she should be burning 1,277 calories, just if she was being lazy and not doing anything. And she was only burning 890 calories, what would be in that 24-hour period. So her metabolism is slowed, her thyroid is downregulated, her intestine motility is slowed. So all those things in someone without a connective tissue disorder and without autonomic issues would make them be gaining weight hand over fist. Ellie continued to lose weight, and on June 23rd, when we weighed her, she was at her lowest weight, which was 88 pounds and some odd ounces. Our pediatrician from Mayo kind of threw her hands up, and she just said, I'm stumped. Nothing makes sense. But she agreed to start a treatment for mast cell activation syndrome, which we were very grateful for. And since starting that, the weight loss has stopped, and Ellie has started gaining weight slowly at the pace of a snail, about an ounce a day. And she is up to 91.5 pounds as of this morning, so up from 88 and probably a half pounds. So, over the course of 2.5 weeks. So it's very slow, but at least it's going in the right direction. It's very frustrating because I think that there is something else going on in the intestines. And the endoscopy did show elevated mast cells when they did the staining, and the GI doctor didn't want to do the staining. It took me about 10 minutes or so of back and forth, and finally he just was like, sure, I can do the staining for you. It's not going to do anything, but I can do the staining for you, because I knew he said, well, at Mayo we don't really buy into the MCAS hypothesis. And our pediatrician was, when I first brought it up to her, she was saying, she was confusing it with hyperalpha-tryptosemia, which is a hereditary mast cell issue, and or mastocytosis, which is another mast cell issue, but it's completely different, and they use different treatments. And I just felt like all my research, everything it's either something with Lyme's or tick-borne something or mast cell, and a lot of times they overlap. And so looking back, Ellie's always had these weird issues where like her body overreacts to infections, because in 2022 she got a secondary infection after removing a tick, and it like started eating her face, and we ended up in the hospital on antibiotics for 3 days. So anyway, she is feeling a little better. She's gotten a little bit, because we've really made her like take it easy. And if you know Ellie, she's not a take it easy person. So she's got a little bit deconditioned, which is bad for her POTS. So we've had to start letting her do some of her therapy, but just at a slower rate. I think she should be gaining weight a little bit faster than what she is. And so I'm gonna message our GI doctor through the UW system probably tonight, so they get it right away tomorrow, because they had mentioned something about possibly doing an abdominal MRI. So I'm going to ask them for that, or a CT scan, since both the cardiologist and the endocrinologist said it's not anything to do with either of those. It is the autonomic issue. And the pediatrician for Mayo, she's so amazing. She's such a great gal. I had given her the name of a special GI doctor and his information from St. Louis, because he deals with like all these quirky cases, and I knew he dealt with MCAS. And so once she basically said, I am out of ideas, she said, so I am going to contact the doctor from Missouri and see if he can offer any insight or anything. And you know, most doctors wouldn't bother doing that. And when she had agreed to do the mast cell treatment, because Ellie was on the video appointment with me, Ellie was just fine. She's just like, can we just please just do the mast cell stuff? And the doctor was like, yeah, actually, I was going to say I'm going to order the cromolyn, and I want you to start it because it's not going to hurt anything, and I'm out of ideas. So, and she said, I did look up some stuff, and this is the treatment, and the mast cells that they found in the intestines, those did match, the amount, the quantity that they usually use to say yes, there is definitely active mast cells. So Ellie has twitchy mast cells. I think what the cromolyn is doing, in addition to the high dose H1 and H2, those are histamine blockers. But I think what the cromolyn is doing is it's coating the intestines. She has to take that 4 times a day. But I think it's coating the intestines, which calms those mast cells down. It doesn't do anything for the rest of the mast cells. So if she's got mast cell overload in her brain, which I think she does from the like around the hypothalamus and stuff, because of where her body temperature is. But I think it's calming the intestinal mast cells down so that those tight junctions can heal, because I think what was going on was maybe a little bit of leaky gut. This is all just hypothesis on my end. About that, I hit whoa, oh, hang on, I gotta turn my camera on. What the? Okay, yes, I hit my earbud wrong when I was trying to readjust it. So anyway, I think there was some leaky gut going on. I think there is some leaky gut going on, but I think there's still something else going on. So our doctor from Mayo, the doctor from St. Louis, was not. He said, I'm too swamped to actually be able to give this the attention that it deserves. And he's an amazing GI. And he is. I know he's extremely busy because he gets a lot of the oddball cases, and he's one of the few that still actually take insurance. So he pointed her in the direction of a very good autonomic clinic that deals with like just dysautonomia and all the autonomic issues. And through there, they got her in touch with one of the top pediatric autonomic specialists in the country, Dr. Boris. And he was kind enough to talk to her for a bit and he broached the MCAS as well. He said, you know, I really feel like there's likely some MCAS stuff going on. And so she was able to tell him, hey, we started some treatment already. So it made us look really good, really smart. And but she wants us to get a consult with him, and that's all he does now is consultations, and then works with your physicians. So of course he's independent, and unfortunately when you're dealing with chronic illness like this, that is what we are finding, is most of these doctors are going independent. They're just they can't, the insurances won't pay for, if you're not doing procedures and things, which is bread and butter, insurance just won't pay. So they have to charge just on a cash basis, which I get, because then they can actually, they're not beholden to the insurance company, and they can actually give the patient the time that they need. And when you're dealing with someone with chronic illness like Ellie, and she has, you know, it's affecting all her systems, I get it, but it's expensive. So we're working on getting an appointment with this Dr. Boris, and I heard from one other friend, she knew, it was either her son or she knew someone that saw him, but that he was absolutely hands down the best. So I think that that'll be the right way to go. After last year and a lot of medical expenses that came up last year with Ryan, our savings is depleted. So we're just like working on that. Our daughter did set up a GoFundMe, and you know, we really wanted that to be a last resort, asking for monetary help. But we're at the point where we have to get Ellie the help that she needs so that she can function and actually be a teenager. So I did put the GoFundMe link in the description of today's live, and in the GoFundMe link is her Caring Bridge page, and I try to keep that updated, and she's written in there once. I'm sure she will later, but she's struggling a lot, so this is praying for her, not just for her to gain weight, but she's struggling a lot emotionally, and like trying to hold it all together, because it's a lot, you know. Her POTS has gotten a little bit worse. She's, you know, extremely low in weight. She gets tired very easily. We had Natalie's baby shower yesterday, and Ellie essentially catered most of it. So she was on her feet for like 3 days, and she wasn't compressed at all yesterday. She didn't have any compression stuff on yesterday, and so her joints are hurting. You know, you could see in her feet, she had on sandals, because she still can't wear shoes right now because she dropped a huge log on her toe, and we thought it was broken, but it's just a deep bruise, which is common with people with HEDS. So she's going to lose the nail on that toe, but her feet were swollen because she didn't have the compression, so the blood was pooling, and they were like really red. By the end of yesterday, you could just see her. She was completely beat, but she's struggling emotionally because she's trying to learn how to balance her energy level, letting her body heal, and still trying to be a functioning person. She wants to run cross country because this is her senior year, and we're doing everything we can. We're hoping, you know, I'm going to get a special shake for her that is actually that's already digested. So, because it takes, from what you eat, your body takes 10 to 30% of those calories, burns them just to digest things. So this special shake, it doesn't, your body doesn't have to digest it. It's already digested, so it just gets immediately absorbed. But of course, it's expensive. But if we use that just as a supplement, we're trying to do everything we can so that she can, run. She was working at the cafe here in town just 4 hours a day, on Mondays and then Wednesdays through Fridays. But that took like everything out of her. So, and then she knew she wasn't going to do it during the school year. So she told the owner, and the owner was so sweet. She said, whenever you're ready and you want to come back, you can, your spot's here. It's fine. So, because if she drops below 90 pounds, then we have to go inpatient, not like it was in March, but inpatient so that they can bring her weight up through IV and then like try to do testing on her while we're in there. So like have her eat like she normally would, and then run tests to see what her metabolism and everything is doing. Thankfully, we haven't gotten to that point yet because she was so traumatized after March that right now she's adamantly refusing. She won't do any inpatient, no matter what kind it is. So, it's very difficult for her emotionally right now because everything is so slow and we still don't have all the answers. I know I have friends that either have chronic illness or they have children that have chronic illness, and so you get this as a parent. And I know every other parent gets it because it's hard to see your kid hurting. But this is going to be a lifelong thing. So she's going through kind of like this grieving process of things that she lost last year and what she might lose this year, because we don't know if she's going to be able to run cross country. Right now she's supposed to be going on a 10-day out west trip with the junior class. And we homeschool, but it's our little Algoma public school is really nice. So they invited her to any junior can go on this, and our property tax pays for it, so why not? But I'm terrified to let her go because her body temperature drops. They're going like to Yellowstone and stuff. She's going to be in higher elevation. We don't know how she will react in higher elevation, how her POTS will be. It can get really cold at night, and she already doesn't have, she's like a lizard. Her body temperature kind of just, she has to be heated through the outside and drink lots of hot drinks to stay warm. Like today it's 80 degrees and she's walking around in a long sleeve shirt because she's just cold. If I were to take her temperature right now, it would be 95. And it's like 85, 90 degrees here right now. So, I just wanted to give everyone an update because Ellie's struggling. The one great thing, and that she's been working really hard on, is her photography business, because she realizes she can go and do a photography shoot, make some money, put in her college fund and stuff, because right now her plan is to probably go for ultrasound tech, because that's a job she can do. They sit while they're doing the scans and stuff, and then keep up on her photography. And so it's been really great. She's been doing work on that because she wants to get some more weddings, because she can handle doing a full day, and then the next 2 or 3 days is editing, and that's all sitting. And but for a 17-year-old, all of this is a lot of hard life adjustments. And then she feels bad because she knows but they know medical bills are there, and she knows, and she knows that we had to pay for the hotel in Minnesota out of pocket, and you can tell a 17-year-old all you want. You don't have to feel guilty. This is life. This is, but she knows. And so, if anyone would like to share our GoFundMe to their page, that would be super helpful, because we just need to get this consult and then see what else. The bills are starting to come in from Mayo, and Mayo's not cheap. We have really good insurance. We're very blessed. After Ryan's heart attack in November, his $100,000 hospital bill, we had $9,000 that we had to pay, plus $2,000 for ambulance fees. And I am telling you, our Mayo stay is about half of what we had paid for Ryan's heart procedure. That's after insurance. So, any shares or prayers or donations, or maybe an organization, something, I don't know. I hate even asking. We don't like doing this, but it's our baby. But prayers are the most important. That's what's carrying us through. She got a blessing from Canon Boucheron before our second trip to Mayo, so that was really nice. And then last Thursday we went to the shrine, because on the 9th of each month they have the sacrament of the anointing of the sick. So she got that, and that was beautiful and sad all at the same time, because it's something that you never want your child to have to get. But I think it helps her mentally, for sure. And but she's doing better. She said she thinks the cromolyn is helping with some of her flares, because being so busy the last 3 days, normally she would have been a lot worse off than she was yesterday. And so she thinks the cromolyn, is really helping with that. So we're getting there. I'll keep everyone updated as I can. Feel free to go to her Caring Bridge page and read the updates, and because we try to update when we get new tests or new information there, or even new weight gains. I can't wait to post on there when she finally hits 92 pounds. I kind of feel like I have a newborn that I'm having to watch and celebrate every ounce that's gained. Sorry, my Wi-Fi kicked in. Okay, I think my Wi-Fi kicked in and then dropped out, and I don't know, because I'm just back home now. So anyway, I will try to keep everyone updated, but I just wanted to pop on, and I thank everyone for watching and sharing, and it's just a huge help to us, and we appreciate all the prayers that everyone has given, because they're carrying us through this. And I say, as long as we can just get her gaining weight and figure out why she's not gaining weight, the rest of it we can deal with. The fatigue, the pot symptoms, all of that we can deal with. But we can't have her be too active, if it makes her drop weight. So that's the piece that we just have to figure out. And I don't know how many people can actually say they have stumped the doctors at the Mayo Clinic, but we can definitely say we have stumped the doctors at Mayo Clinic. Even though they're phenomenal. They are phenomenal, hands down. So glad we went there. But now now we're still left with, we have to go and find more answers. So I am going to go inside in the air conditioning because it's extremely hot out here, and I just finished walking the dog. So thank you. God bless. Know that we pray for each and every person on my friends list, and we love you all, and can't thank everyone enough for the prayers.